After seeing that episode, I almost have no words. But I'm gonna have to have words because I need to review it. We need to talk about this, guys. That was just... Roll the intro. How's it going, my fellow Mandalorians? Welcome to what could possibly be the best episode yet of the Mandalorian series, as you're probably telling from the title. At least that's what I got from it. My words, they're going already. What did I say in the intro? Chapter 11, the Heiress, was just an absolutely fantastic episode, giving us so much of everything we love about the Mandalorian. Hope you guys enjoy this review. Go ahead and like it. If you do go on to enjoy it, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with more reviews just like this. So this episode was interestingly only 30 minutes, but it felt like much longer to me. I remember hearing rumors that all episodes this season would be like the first episode like 55 minutes or 45 to 55, but this was back to the episode length of last season, which, you know, it's weird. I do mind that, but this episode, as I just stated, it didn't feel like 30 minutes because it was so well paced. So this episode picks up right at the end of last episode, of course, with Mandalorian and Baby Yoda and Frog Lady heading towards Trask in a very, very damaged Razor Crest. The ship was literally kind of burning up in the atmosphere with no shields due to the damage of the ship. Baby Yoda was just loving how fast they were going in it. Mando managed to almost pull it off right at the end, but they only tipped in the water anyway. But I love that little Easter egg. I swear that we saw an AT-AT walker taking the Razor Crest out of the sea. I mean, I could be wrong. It could just be a repurposed AT-AT walker from the Empire days, but also at the same time, there is a little bit of an Empire presence on that planet, so you could argue, I don't know, but either way, cool little Easter egg right there. I found it very, very wholesome and sweet when Frog Lady was calling for her husband, and they both kind of called each other and they ran into each other's arms. I love the setting of this planet as well, just seeing them on calamari everywhere as well. But at this point, of course, Mando only came this far to get more information from other Mandalorians so he can fulfill the quest to return Baby Yoda to the Jedi. That's the end goal, right? And we definitely got a massive step towards that at the end of this episode. Frog Lady's husband points him towards the inn, and that is when that moment from the trailer happened where the hooded figure was kind of amongst all of that cargo there. And I was thinking, oh, is that who we think it is? Because up until this moment, just to refresh your minds, a lot of people were thinking that this is either Sabine Wren or Ahsoka Tano, but I think a lot of people ruled out that that wasn't Rosario Dawson. I mean, I knew it wasn't, so the most likely option was Sabine Wren, but lo and behold, it wasn't. Very, very interestingly, but more on that in a little bit. At this point, the Mandalorian pays the innkeeper for information on other Mandalorians, and he did say that others with Beskar have been through here, and he knows somebody who might help. Also, I love how he gave Baby Yoda some of that soup, and I swear I know this was kind of a squid at the same time, but I swear there's so many nods to Alien recently. In the last episode, of course, you had Baby Yoda going up to all those eggs, and in this episode, obviously, you had that little bowl of kind of soup or whatever it was, and Baby Yoda had it like jump, basically the face hugger from Alien. Also, the amount of daddy kind of Mandalorian references at the minute. Din Djarin is really becoming a father. At this point, he was like, don't play with your food, but throughout the episode, there's a lot of, you will be respectful, you will mind your manners, and la-di-da-da, you know what I'm on about, that kind of thing, and you kind of love to see it. And I dread the day where he really does say goodbye to the child. That's a whole other video, just speculating what happens when the child is gone. Is that the end of a certain season, or is that the end of the series? This is where we're really getting into the deep meat of the episode, so to speak. So at this point, Mando is sailing the high seas with Quarren's brothers, should I say, and he decides to say to Mando, hey, have you ever seen a mama core eat? He thought he would show the child, so Baby Yoda got right up to the edge, and he was getting all excited to see this creature being fed, and that is when he literally, my jaw was wide open. I haven't had a reaction like, well, that reaction several times throughout this episode in a long time with any TV show or movie. Seriously, several times throughout this episode, my jaw was wide open, and that is very surprising for me. Like, I feel like I'm desensitized to a lot these days. When Baby Yoda got freaking knocked in there and swallowed whole, Mando instantly jumped in there. This was a bit of a disaster. And this is where a bunch of Mandalorians swoop in. Yet again, I love when we see this in live action. It's crazy how you just have some episodes from Clone Wars or Rebels just come to live action. Like, you would have thought, okay, yeah, it's easy for them to do that because it's animation, a load of people with jetpacks, but bringing that to the real kind of screen and live action, it's amazing how well they pull it off without it looking, I don't know, too CGI, if that makes sense. But I love when Bo-Katan was just like, it's alright, brother, we've got this. Din Djarin, of course, cares more about the child than himself. He's like, the child, you got to get the child. And that is when we had Koska Greaves, not Sabine, go in there and absolutely decimate the creature, get Baby Yoda. She busted kind of the lid of the cot, so that little Baby Yoda cot, so to speak, is no more. So I don't know how Baby Yoda's got to float around now, if he is at all, or is he just always going to be carried by Mando? And at this moment, guys, I was so happy with this, because everyone up until this point is thinking, why did the Clone Wars Mandalorians, or any Mandalorian we've practically seen before, take off their freaking helmets? Yet now in Star Wars, the Mandalorians keep their helmet on. Like, that's a bit of contradicting continuity there. But at this point, Bo-Katan, Koska Greaves, and Axe Woves took their helmets off, and that literally shook Mando. He immediately, automatically was just like, where did you get that armor? Because he thought, if you're taking your helmet off, you're not a Mandalorian. And they actually gave a reason and justification as to why Din Djarin, Mando himself, wears his helmet all the time, and I love this. In this moment, Bo-Katan says that this armor has been in her family for 3 generations, and that she is of Clan Kryze, born on Mandalore, and that she fought in the Purge, and that she is the last of her line. And I loved it was so good seeing Katie Sackhoff in this episode. Katie Sackhoff, I love her ever since the Battlestar Galactica days. If you know, you know. If you don't, then watch that series. What is wrong with you? You may just be a big fan of her from Rebels or Clone Wars, whatever, but it was fantastic seeing her here. I loved when she's like, he's one of them. All of her clan are just like looking at each other like, okay. This is where Din kind of got an explanation that he really probably never saw coming, because he wasn't merely aware of this. To his knowledge, all Mandalorians follow the creed the same way that he does. So after she says that I am the last of my line, she says, and you are a child of the Watch. Now, the children of the Watch, as she said, are a cult of religious zealots that broke away from Mandalorian society, as their goal was to kind of re-establish the ancient way. So you can only take from that you know, the ancient way of the Mandalorians. But since that time, the Mandalorians kind of evolved. You know, they didn't get rid of absolutely everything. They held a lot of traditions, but they probably allowed things like, oh, you can take off your freaking helmet. However, the children of the Watch were like proper culty, proper like, we're gonna go to the proper ancient way, you know, like this way, this is the way, basically. You know, just like anyone confronted with something like this, I think he was not in denial, but just like, no, this isn't right, like, what? And that is when he flies away. So it's just like, this brings up this whole kind of subplot, which I can't wait for them to address in the future. I'm not saying, has Mando been on the wrong side of the Mandalorians this whole time? It's just interesting that within Mandalorian society, people like Bo-Katan's clan, or maybe other Mandalorians out there, there are different sectors. Like, there's the Children of the Watch, the more extremist viewed or more cult viewed by other Mandalorians, of which Din Djarin is a part of, but I think he might bleed out of that eventually. It's just going to be interesting to think of what the Armorer says about this, whether we get kind of more context from her. I mean, the speculation is limitless at this point with where they could go, and I'm sure they will follow up on the Children of the Watch compared to the other Mandalorian clans out there, like Bo-Katan's, and how they view his group as, you know, extreme zealots and occultists, going back to the ancient Mandalorian ways. But at the same time, they're not bad people. I mean, think about the Mandalorians he hung out with last season, the people who came to back him up in the town. Like, you know, I think they're just extremists. They're hardcore Mandalorians. After his run-in with Bo-Katan and the others, and kind of being a bit shook from that, Mando is seen walking throughout the streets of Trask, and is confronted by Quarren's brother. And this yet another amazing piece here. They're about to kill him, and that is where Bo-Katan and the others fly down, absolutely decimate them within a second. And I love this one line later on in the episode. I think she says, Bo-Katan says to one of the Imperials, imagine a whole division of us with these weapons. It's just like, imagine a whole division of Mandalorians in that moment, when we've seen how much only 4 of them can do in this episode. After this, they offer to buy Mando a drink, and they essentially debrief him about Trask being a black market port staging weapons that have been brought and sold with the plunders of their planet. So Bo-Katan and the others are seizing these weapons and using them to retake their homeworld, and once they've done that, they'll see a new Mandalore on the throne, which would be, of course, kind of, Bo-Katan herself. So I love this. I love this. I want a whole show about them retaking Mandalore. I want it. Where is it? It's also interesting to hear Mando calling Mandalore cursed. Anyone who goes there dies. And, he even says once the Empire knew that, they couldn't control it. They made sure that no one else could either. And it's interesting how Bo-Katan says, don't believe everything you hear at that moment. I feel like that was a little kind of nod to her looking at him being kind of raised amongst the extremist cult version of the Mandalorians, the Children of the Watch. They probably distilled that in Mando's mind, whereas people like Bo-Katan and the others view Mandalore as like, we want to be back at home. It's not a cursed planet. Mando brings up again that he's been quested to bring this child back to the Jedi, and this is where he gets asked by Bo-Katan, what do you know of the Jedi? Of course, he doesn't really know anything because he was hoping that they would help him by creed, and she does say that I can lead you to one of their kind, but first, we need your help on a mission. But I do love the look, the little exchange of look between Bo and the others of when Jedi got mentioned. They're like, yeah, like the Jedi, they're kind of like, as we know, Mandalorians and Jedi used to fight wars and wars and wars. Obviously, Bo-Katan, as we know, is very friendly with a certain few Jedi. But yeah, I love the kind of almost mythic vibe they gave, the glances they gave to each other in that moment. This is where we get the probably, and maybe arguably, some of, if not the best action of the series so far to date. Can you imagine what they have in store for the rest of this season? We got to see the Imperial Gazanti freighter being loaded with weapons, scheduled to depart at first light, so they're basically casing out the mission at this point in the episode. Mando leaves Baby Yoda with the Frog Lady family, yet again, as I mentioned earlier, the Daddy Mandalorian moments where he's like, you gotta be respectful. I absolutely loved that. And then we saw Baby Yoda obsessing over the eggs again, as he witnessed a baby frog come out of one of the eggs. I have to think that Baby Yoda maybe felt a little bit guilty in that moment. Or do you think, damn, that just looks a whole lot more tastier now? And so we see the Mandalorians fly towards the freighter and mess up the stormtroopers. All of this was incredible. We saw Imperials on board. They were talking about pirates again. And overall, I just found this action absolutely breathtaking. It really highlights the absolute kind of ability Mandalorians have to shred legions and legions of stormtroopers. I know that's an exaggeration, but there were quite a lot of Imperials and stormtroopers on that freighter. But yeah, you guys saw the episode, you know what I mean. I also love when the Imperials in the cockpits heard that they were Mandalorians. It looks like they completely cacked themselves, so to speak. However, in this moment, this is where Bo-Katan says, we're taking the entire ship. She explains to Mando that there is something she needs if she is to rule Mandalore. Something that was once hers, and that the fractured empire knows where it is, and soon, so will she. And obviously, she's after the Darksaber. However, taking the whole ship is more than what Mando signed up for. Mando's a bit annoyed that she's kind of changing the terms of the deal, and this is where she replied sarcastically a little bit, saying, this is the way. And I have to admit, and I want your opinions on this, do you think that was that almost sarcastic reply, this is the way, is just the creed of the Children of the Watch, of which the Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin, is a part of? And do you think that other Mandalorians, the more looser, modernized type like Bo-Katan and the others, they don't say this is the way? I know she said it again at the end of the episode, but that could have been out of respect to him and his ways with the more extremist and ancient creed of the Mandalorians. I don't know, it's something I thought of. I'm now thinking that if they remove their helmets, maybe they don't say this is the way, but she was being respectful to him and his way of things. As the mission unfolds, the Imperials contact Moff Gideon, wanting backup, but Moff Gideon says, you know what to do, long live the Empire. I mean, geez, these freaking Empire loyalists, man, they will do anything. He shoots the pilots, and he's ready to literally kamikaze into Trask. That moment though, with Mando literally just saying cover me, and he goes in to throw his little detonators, that was so awesome. He get away with it because he's got all of that Beskar, of course, though you could still get shot in the gaps. Very interesting that he decided to do that when he wasn't fully on board with the plan, but I suppose he was thinking, look, I'm signed up to this now, I may as well get this done. And he really proved his strength there to Bo-Katan, who of course will obviously be the future leader of Mandalore once she gets her Darksaber back, and she won't forget it. Once again, major kudos to Katie Sackhoff's performance as Bo-Katan. I love that moment where she's like interrogating the Imperial officer, saying, where is it? The Darksaber. Does he have it? Like, she knows Moff Gideon. She knows of him, and she probably hadn't had it confirmed that he has it, but when she said, has he got it? And he replies, if you're asking, you already know. She was like, okay, like, I know who's got it now. If I let you live, you'll take me to him. And he's just like, you might let me live, but he won't. And that's when he takes like one of those capsules in his tooth. But I love how in Star Wars, it electrocutes him, but also just in the theme of the Empire, I can imagine Palpatine, just imagine this in your mind now. He like manufactures tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these suicide capsules, just if you're ever to get captured for the higher ranking Imperials. But instead of just it being like cyanide in the Star Wars universe, it's like a little jingle of his Force lightning that just, you know, echoes throughout their head. By the way, though, guys, end of the episode, they managed to pull up the ship. Bo-Katan offers Mando a place to join her and her clan if he ever wants to. So that's great. I really hope to see more of her. Katie Sackhoff is incredible. I've mentioned that a billion times throughout this video, and we need to see more of her. But guys, this is where she says to Mando, take the child to the city of Caladan on the forest planet of Corvus. There you will find Ahsoka Tano. Tell her you were sent by Bo-Katan. Guys, we're really about to get Ahsoka Tano. I love how the Razor Crest now has a Mon Calamari theme to it, and they're going after Ahsoka Tano now. They know where it is. However, I think next episode will be one of those episodes again. Like, I personally don't mind. I'm not saying that he won't reach Corvus next episode to see Ahsoka Tano. That very well could be the case, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if, because of this episode being main plotty, very much so focused, next episode will kind of be running into something else on the way to Corvus. I have no idea, though. It could very well be Ahsoka Tano next episode, but I'm thinking maybe the episode after next. Or we might see her at the very end of next episode. Anyway, though, everyone, I've been talking for absolutely forever. I really, really enjoyed this episode. And out of all of the episodes, I think this was the best. I really do think so. And I'm really impressed that all of that was contained in a little 30-minute capsule of an episode. But I am dying to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think that eventually Mando, Din Djarin himself, will kind of get out of the extremist cultist version of the Mandalorian creed, like the Children of the Watch, and maybe step more towards Bo-Katan? This could be a way Din Djarin, or should I say Pedro Pascal, could get more screen time. Literally, why not? I mean, this will have to be addressed in that subplot where he learns more about it. Do you think we're going to get Ahsoka next episode? Let me know down in the comments. And do you think we will see Bo-Katan again? Let me know everything. Like this video, everyone. If you did enjoy it, I'd really, really appreciate that. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel with the notification bell button on, so you never miss out on the video. That way you'll always be informed of when videos like this go up. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you Mandalorians in the next video. Goodbye.